Hi everyone, welcome to Isolate Week 2. Welcome to all you isolators. My name's Grace, and be nice to me because it's my first time doing it this week, so if anything stuffs up, you'll know why. This week is a little bit different because of the different restrictions that was put on the artists. So a lot of stuff was actually filmed in their own home because that's where they should be. Again, if there's any issues, we'll try and fix them ASAP. And please, if you can, donate what you can because all the proceeds go to the artists involved. So sit back, relax, enjoy Isolate Week 2. Days pass. How the light chases across the floor. I had a way to keep track, but I have lost it. It has been one day, it has been many. I know how many there will be. 14, a doctor's number. This is a room. It is my room now, and it was once too, long ago. I look around. I grew up here so long ago. This room was as large as an age when I was younger. The older I have become, the smaller this room becomes. What an odd thing. Things pull away from you as you get older. I suppose it was always this size. I have changed. That is what happens. Everything was big. I remember I could run and run. How delightful to be running. I would run so fast. I thought my heart would burst out of my chest. I have not run anywhere since. Running is for childhood. I understand that. What have I wished during these days? That I could be a child again.
What's in the box? Dad, can I hold it? Will you show me?
Show me.
Yes.
I can keep a secret. My crime. I returned from overseas. So many days ago, I was in Spain, in the south. I was in Spain, Andalusia, place of the Vandals. There it is, there was I, in raptures of blue, the sky, the sea, 1,000-year-old stone, the cold fact of it. There it is. I was alone there. Caños de Mecca, sand and memories and myself. Everything. Don't you see? I cry for it now. That loneliness. This is not loneliness. This is waiting. I had a job in a bar near the Caños de Mecca. I lived there. You phoned me. It was morning here, evening there. Come home, you said. Come home. I have no home. I told you that. And then I said, please stop crying. Something was wrong. I decided to come home. There were police at the airport, at the arrivals lounge at Tullamarine. Police. Something was wrong. And so I am here. Quarantine. It is a word, and I am inside it, looking out. I can see through the spaces. I am not alone in being alone. There are many. You leave my food outside. I cannot blame you. How many days now? I ask you through the door. You always know. Thank you for the books, I say. I don't like reading anymore, but I do not tell you that. I am not afraid. Not of being here, and not of the reason for being here. In coming back, in holding here, I have made you happy.
Quarantine.
I will wait. It is only a word, a daylight word with only the meaning we attach to it. Do you see? It is another door. Yes, a door. This is my fear. I will tell you. It is not this room. It is not you. It is not illness. It is the beauty of the world. Beauty like the warm breeze in Caño de Mecca. I may not know it again, but I will know the secrets of this room. I can see you putting it back in the box. I can see. You know what all this means? The waiting. Watching the light chase me across the floor. This is what I am doing. I am healing.
There is a spot in my garden I have never been. I will visit one day. It's on the list of things to do. There is a spot in my garden I will visit one day. It's exotic and shady. It's got just the right amount of sun-flecked and dappled bubbles of warmth and golden light. There's a spot in my garden I will visit one day. Peaceful and private. I can be myself there. Breathe just the right amount and depth of air. There is a spot in my garden I will visit one day. I have never been brave enough to venture out into the wild with no abandon. Don't you know? It's dangerous out there. There is a spot in my garden I will visit one day. I saw pictures once in a magazine. Oh, what could be in such a place? It tells me how it could be me. It could be me. So I stay indoors. It's important not to do it at all. It's important not to do it all at once, and leave nothing to be imagined, dreamt, or to look to, pulling us forward through the dark. There is a spot in my garden. I will visit it one day. I know it's there. And for now, it's enough to dream. For there, I can always paint more spots to think, to breathe, to be.
It's gonna be okay. 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 It's going to be okay. It's gonna 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 be okay. I'm not okay, though. I'm not okay that our world has changed. I'm not okay that everyone is more hostile now when they need to be more compassionate. I'm not okay that every time I go online I want to scratch my eyes out. I'm not okay now that I'm in isolation. I hate people more than ever. I'm not okay that I want to keep making art in this time, and I'm sick of people telling other people what they should and shouldn't do when they're stuck at home. I'm not okay that people will always refrain from praising you in front of others to protect their own reputation. I'm not okay that I keep getting told I'm lucky but that I still have a job. I'm not okay that people are competing over who's more screwed over. I'm not okay that there's no one to blame for this. I'm not okay that I'm filled with anger all the time towards anyone who asks if I'm okay. I'm not okay with people asking if I'm okay, because I'm not okay saying I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And I will not be okay just because you tell me it's going to be okay. Making art makes it better for me, but it doesn't make it okay. Not yet.
It's gonna be okay. 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 It's going to be okay. It's gonna 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 be okay.
First, of course, there were the lending schemes. The subcontracted familiarity protocols, the third-party interfacing initiatives, and the rest you can probably guess. The privatisation of previously gov-funded sensory rehabilitation clinics and the eradication of arm's-length funding of said clinics at a time when really nearly anything arm's length required great bureaucratic but also literal personal physio-emotional sweat and strain. Oh yes, and emotional sweat, a term that also became widespread in those later weeks. The new phenomenon of truck stop story holes saw incomprehensible love notes pass through lube-soaked truck stop shafts to sophisticated deepfakes who lingered in the halogen dawn. The great fleshlight buyback scheme that split the parties down the middle, and the resurgence of erotic lit that few foresaw. A flourishing time for highly specialised sex work, though many had skills that had to be diversified, portfolios annulled overnight and licences made void. Keyboard protests in the wake of invalidated credentials came in accumulating waves that left Fukushima-type zones of exclusion and soon put an end to any type of intercourse at all. The augmented handshake devices we attach to our extremities, followed closely by the outright severing of hands in protest and the embalming of said hands, the trophying and the atrophying that accompanied those who stood and watched and laughed and hugged their stump-armed selves to try and remember being hugged. A black market for scalped palm skins on the deep web, but the epidemic itself much quicker to the cut than the class action cases in the end. That father who fetched over 50,000 for his untarnished tongue on tonguetree.com, the walking in on mirror talks, the term to mirror talk becoming household rep, to carry look-through mirrors everywhere since cameras never held their charge enough to see yourself in front, right here, at all times, to see yourself then eventually in everyone you saw, and the comfort of that, the comfort of everybody being the only body you could touch and talk to in that ultimate prison of your mind. And then, of course, the hikikomorification, the great withdrawal as it would come to be known, saw the decline in actually real estate restaurants and the influx of online delivery platforms, the swarming of Deliveroos and Deliver-Don'ts and Uber Eats and Uber Won'ts all around the grand central hive, and the willingness of their workers to sacrifice themselves for something greater than themselves, for the sake of unceasing production. And production now an end unto itself, an upwelling flow from some comatose central nervous system long buried beneath the mound of it all, and hierarchies in the midst of this conglomerate bubbling and dispersing like the transient gases that they were. The babbling brook of unsolicited calls that tethered one another in the silent dusk, where misremembered car park spots and Kmart lots became a lifelong fossick through a cache of wandering souls, with shopping trolleys drifting through those bitumen rivers like vessels of the flood. The animals no longer 2 by 2, but 2 by 1, then 1 by 1, then 1 by none, then none by none, and none of this even coming close to how smartphones came to outsmart you when you came to be their slaves. How you read GIFs like hieroglyphs, your QWERTY skills were quickly killed, your tweets resembled birdsong, and any other update now a code that only you could comprehend. The factions that emerged, the wind and how it came to whisper, brothers too and sisters parting ways for eons of solitude, Zarathustrian reclusivity to exceed the heights of Bonavarian asceticism, and all the better houses sold off or looted for quality timber towards the building of mountain huts and recording studios in isolated parts of Tasmania and the outskirts of Daylesford where no one would ever bother you again. Each day, new pathologies blossoming in the streets, solipsistic fibrosis blistering through communities and bubbling under the collective skin, women and children caught in echoglossolalia feedback loops and unlit kitchens, and sensual deprivation, not to be confused with sensory deprivation, whereby we all experienced a reduction of stimuli from one or more erogenous zones. The point where you trick yourself to thinking you can't remember the texture, elasticity or sweat of another's skin, so you search instead for composites. Mannequins wrapped in bubble wrap and memory foam and damp moss and celery and magnesium shavings and fish paste and a piece of soap bitten and slightly chewed. And more disturbing than none of these things being quite right was the eventual certainty that each of these things was exactly it. Exactly how it felt to fondle, caress and love. The endemic disconnection outweighed only by the term connection at all and all its blandness and generality, but nonetheless encompassing a feeling that we all knew was gone, 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 gone. And gone were the days of interlocking fingers and skinny dipping holding rocks against your chest as you sank to the bed of a shallow lagoon by the highway to watch the rippling moon. Our loneliness is at its worst in a room full of your oldest friends. And when you finally came up for air from that viscous tank, gasping with your adolescent lungs, the clarity overwhelmed you. People whose faces you once recognized, hunched and slumped in silent food courts and cradling their iPads like newborns. And how you came to mourn the yet unborn and unbegot, who had experienced nothingness far longer than anyone who had ever died. Now you came to know there is no lengthier death than that prenatal darkness from which we crawl. And as you wandered through that vacant, vine-soaked city, it is a fluorescent sign that beckons you, and you approach it moth-like. and you haven't had the capacity to read in so long, you wonder whether your eyes are doing that thing they do in LSD where the letters become emojis and language gets all spoonerized. But whatever the case may be, you approach the sign and slowly walk inside.
Falling is effortless. It's the stepping off that takes fuel. Grab a strong hold of nothing. Breathe out slowly. Hold the nothing close to your chest. Walk out to the edge. Repeat the prayer. 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100. Take a step out into thin air. Plant both feet firmly in the falling. Anticipate nothing. Arrive. I hope this letter finds you well. Distance is the punch that feels like a kiss. A memory catches fire. The death of a friend once saw our little tribe retreat into the mountains of each other's quiet company. The world could wait. Sage Sherpas delivered supplies to each camp. More weed, more cheap wine, extra words of hope, and a helicoptered-in coffee machine. We stayed in. We closed all distances between us and wept and shivered and slept and fucked and keened. We took dose after dose of each other's tender company until we, all of us, together, timidly stood at the planet's door, once more asking if we might come back in. Each one of us a rescue dog, a pack of once bitten rescue dogs. It was the real world that set us apart. Back in the ring with the world ready for another round, we found ourselves subject to strange new forces. We were flung ever farther from each other, the earth our indifferent centrifuge. We grew incrementally isolated by domestic circumstance, but at the heart of it was a choice. We were content to keep in touch via photos and text, embarrassed to admit the truth at the heart of it, that life was leaving us less in the tank at the end of each day. We could share our oxygen, as we did then, but age has made us selfish. Criminally negligent, we assume that time will slow this dance of distance. We find instead that it beats its temporal taiko ever faster, matching our march from each other to the beat of the red shift of the universe, the paradox machine at the heart of every person printing out long logs of the same line of text. I want to go out, but I want to stay in. Our anxious choir has made a beautiful profession of singing wolf. Now that the quarantine is mandated, we feel robbed. We feel robbed of that which, until today, we had given away freely. This pathogen has come for our affection. A drunk but wise old woman once told me that one should shag everybody that one can. She explained that age laces the mind with more regret over inaction than it does anguish over roads taken. I had thought she meant decades from now. In this new world currency, affection already banked loses purchase, while memories of missed opportunities fly overhead like bullets. Our actions have been made redundant, our inactions made cavernous. If our world recovers, when our world recovers, when it is once again safe to do so, our currency will be contact. Contact. Kissing someone hello, holding someone goodbye, holding eye contact, holding hands, fucking on first dates. Never again will it be too soon to say I love you. Never again will there be simultaneously more and less at stake. Isolation breeds contemplation, and contemplation demands some spiritual archaeology, so I look back in time to find a lyric, and I gently brush the dust off. Don't save your kisses, just pass them around. You'll find my reason is logically sound. Who's gonna know that you pass them around 100 years from today? In the waking hours, I find myself reaching out for your hand, like some kid who knows that's what you do before you cross a road. My arms fold around a space where you should be. We made promises of weathering storms together, but now, here we sit, under separate skies. Will we ever miss a chance again? I've never been good at ending letters, or at endings generally. So here's a haiku that the government inspired me to write. Schools are still open. Funerals are capped at 10. Hairdressers exempt.
Thank you everyone for watching this week's Isolate week 2, and please remember to donate if you can. All proceeds again go to artists who were involved in this particular week. And just a reminder that all these works were brand new this week, and we'll have a whole new batch of brand new art for you next week. Thank you so much again from IO Performance, and we'll see you next week.